All right, you sick fucks. You wanted the dirt on this whole Tyson Paul shitstorm. Well,
Mhm.
strap in, because we're going deep on this fucking fiasco that left everyone I know scratching their heads. Like, what the fuck was that?
I'm with you. It was definitely a head scratcher.
I mean, it was a total mind fuck. Let's be real. I've got an expert here, someone who knows a jab from a goddamn circle jerk to break down this whole mess.
Glad to be here. Let's
Yeah.
try to make sense of this train wreck.
So we had like 72,000 screaming lunatics in Texas, millions more watching on Netflix. I think everyone was expecting Iron Mike to just, unleash hell.
Right.
But what we got was like watching paint dry.
Right.
Was this whole thing rigged?
Oh.
Was Tyson just too goddamn old to throw a punch? Did Paul actually win, or were the judges on crack?
Okay. Hold on. We've got a lot to unpack here.
And what the hell happened to Netflix?
Whole thing at a time.
All right. So we got to start with the pre-fight circus. I mean, Tyson slapping Paul at the weigh-in, Paul running around with that Mike must die bullshit. It was more WWE than boxing.
Yeah, it was a spectacle for sure.
So did all that hype actually make the fight more interesting? Or was it just a bunch of manufactured drama to sell tickets and piss everyone off?
Well, the theatrics definitely got people talking, especially people who don't normally give a shit about boxing.
Sure.
You gotta admit, these guys know how to work a crowd, even if it feels more like a reality show than a sporting event.
Yeah, right? It's like, are we here for a real fight or just to watch these two clowns act like asshats?
I mean, there's an element of entertainment to it.
But, okay, enough with the sideshow.
Yeah.
Let's get to the actual brawl or whatever the hell you want to call it. Tyson came out swinging,
He did.
which lasted about as long as my last Tinder date.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was just a bunch of awkward hugging and some of the weakest punches I've ever seen. Paul was throwing haymakers like a goddamn drunk windmill.
Yeah.
Most of them missed by a mile.
Yeah, his technique was...
The crowd started booing.
It was pretty sloppy.
And honestly, who could blame him? They paid a fortune to watch this shit. So you're the expert here. Break it down first. Was there any actual strategy involved, or were they just making it up as they went along?
Well, Tyson's early aggression was interesting, but it fizzled out fast. He's clearly not the beast he used to be, and it showed age catches up to everyone, even the legendary fighters.
Yeah.
As for Paul, his energy was undeniable, but his technique was, well, sloppy as hell, lots of wild swings, very little precision. It seemed like he was more focused on putting on a show than actually boxing.
Putting on a show, you say. Well, he managed to convince the judges because somehow he won by unanimous decision. Did they even watch the same fight as the rest of us? It looked like a couple of toddlers having a temper tantrum in a sandbox.
Well, the scoring in boxing can be a bit subjective,
Do you think?
but based on the current criteria, which emphasizes aggression and ring control, Paul did rack up more points. Even if his punches weren't landing cleanly, he was the busier fighter. Tyson, on the other hand, just didn't do enough to impress the judges. His legendary status only goes so far when you're basically phoning it in.
So Paul technically won, but did anyone really win in this whole shit show? The post-fight interviews were almost as bizarre as the fight itself. Paul's praising Tyson. Tyson's acting like he doesn't give a shit about losing. Was this just a big, elaborate bro-down disguised as a boxing match?
It's possible they were playing up the mutual respect angle for the cameras. They both made a boatload of money off this spectacle, so why not throw in some fake sportsmanship for good measure?
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The money. Paul reportedly pocketed a cool 40 million bucks, while Tyson walked away with a tidy 20 mil.
Not bad for a night's work.
Not bad for a night of half-ass sparring and awkward hugs. Look, we all know this was a cash grab, but break down the financials for us. What made this fight such a goddamn money magnet, aside from the sheer absurdity of it all?
Well, this fight tapped into a few key ingredients. Nostalgia for Tyson's glory days, curiosity about Paul's YouTube-fueled boxing ambitions, and the primal draw of seeing two personalities with massive followings clash in the ring regardless of their actual skill level.
Yeah.
It was a spectacle that transcended the sport itself, appealing to a wider audience than a traditional boxing match ever could. Plus, you can't ignore that record-breaking gate revenue from those 72,000 fans. People were willing to shell out big bucks to see this shitstorm in person.
Speaking of shitstorms, we got to talk about Netflix's epic meltdown. This was their first live combat sports event, and it went down faster than a hooker's panties on dollar night.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Streaming issues galore, buffering like crazy fans, pissed off and demanding refunds. What the fuck happened there? What does this dumpster fire mean for Netflix's future in live events? Did they just bite off more than they could chew?
It seems Netflix severely underestimated the technical challenges of broadcasting a live event of this magnitude.
Really?
They weren't prepared for the massive influx of viewers trying to stream the fight simultaneously, which led to widespread buffering and outages. It's a stark reminder that streaming live sports is a completely different beast from on-demand content. They'll need to seriously upgrade their infrastructure and technology if they want to compete with the big boys in this arena.
So basically they fucked up.
Pretty much.
This is going to be interesting to watch unfold. I'm going to like to wait and see what they do next. But for now, let's take a break and we'll be back to dissect this whole mess even further. Stay tuned. So let's be real here. Was this whole Tyson-Paul shit show just a giant middle finger to the sport of boxing? It's like they took everything we respect about the sweet science, the skill, the heart, the years of dedication, and just flushed it down the fucking toilet for a quick buck and some viral moments.
Well, it definitely highlights the changing landscape of combat sports. We're seeing this blurring of the lines between legitimate athletic competition and pure entertainment spectacle.
So you're saying it's a total shit show?
Not necessarily, but it does raise questions about what this means for the future of boxing.
Yeah, like, is this some kind of fucked up evolution, or are we watching the slow death of real boxing?
There's a valid argument there. These exhibition matches with their emphasis on celebrity and hype can trivialize the years of training and discipline it takes to become a truly elite boxer.
It's like comparing a world-class chef to some douchebag making instant ramen in their mom's basement. Sure, they're both technically cooking, but the skill and artistry are on completely different levels.
Right. Exactly.
So let's say you're a young, hungry boxer coming up the ranks.
Yeah.
You've got the talent, the drive, you're putting in the work. Do you even stand a chance in this new world where social media clout seems to matter more than actual boxing skills?
It's definitely a tougher road, but true talent and dedication usually find a way to rise to the top. The traditional boxing world still exists with its established rankings, championship belts, and passionate fan base. But you can't deny the allure of these big-money celebrity fights.
Yeah.
It's a tempting proposition for any young fighter looking for a quick payday and a taste of the spotlight, even if it means compromising their integrity.
Let's be honest, the real money and the fame are gravitating towards these celebrity circus acts. It's hard to imagine a young fighter turning down a multi-million-dollar offer to fight some washed-up YouTuber or reality TV star, even if it means selling their soul to the devil.
It's a reflection of our society's obsession with fame and fortune, often at the expense of substance and authenticity.
Right.
We're quick to reward flash over substance, and that's reflected in the types of events that capture our attention.
So are we doomed to a future of Jake Pauls and Logan Pauls, where boxing skills are secondary to social media followers and clickbait headlines? Is this the new normal?
I wouldn't go that far. I believe there will always be a place for true boxing, for the display of skill, strategy, and heart that has captivated audiences for centuries.
Okay.
But boxing fans need to be more discerning, to recognize the difference between a genuine display of boxing prowess and a carefully orchestrated spectacle designed purely for entertainment and profit.
So you're saying there's still hope for those of us who want to see a real fight, not just a glorified sparring session between two clowns with more ego than talent.
Absolutely. We need to be critical consumers, supporting the athletes who are genuinely dedicated to their craft and not letting the hype machine dictate our viewing habits.
This whole Tyson-Paul debacle got me thinking of the power of nostalgia. They were banking on people's memories of Iron Mike in his prime, hoping we'd forget about the face tattoos, the ear-biting incident, the whole goddamn circus that became his career. Are we that easily manipulated by nostalgia? Are we that desperate to relive the past, even if it's a distorted bullshit version of it?
Nostalgia is a powerful force. It can evoke strong emotions, reminding us of a time when things felt simpler, more exciting, perhaps more innocent. It can also be easily exploited, especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with images and narratives designed to trigger our emotions and manipulate our behavior.
You're saying they were playing us.
This fight was a prime example of that.
They took this iconic figure, this legendary boxer, and turned him into a sideshow freak. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
It raises questions about the ethics of exploiting someone's legacy, especially when that person may not be fully in control of their own image or narrative. Tyson's clearly not the man he used to be, and it felt like they were using his past glory to sell tickets and generate hype for this spectacle.
And let's not forget about the fans who shelled out their hard-earned cash to watch this shit show. They got a half-assed sparring session, a bunch of manufactured drama, and a Netflix meltdown for their troubles. Do we as fans have a responsibility to be more critical, to demand more from the events and athletes we support with our time and money?
Absolutely. As consumers, we have a responsibility to vote with our wallets to support the events and athletes that deserve our attention and our money. If we keep rewarding mediocrity and spectacle, that's what we'll continue to get.
So we're getting what we deserve.
In a way, yes.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about that Netflix clusterfuck. This was supposed to be their big move into live sports, and it crashed and burned harder than a meth head at a spelling bee. What does this epic fail tell us about the current state of streaming, especially when it comes to handling massive live events? Are they just not ready for prime time?
It exposes the significant technical challenges that come with live streaming, particularly at this scale. Netflix might have overestimated their ability to handle the massive influx of viewers trying to watch the fight simultaneously, and their infrastructure simply wasn't up to the task.
It's like trying to cram 1,000 drunk frat boys into a smart car. Something's got to give.
Exactly. This serves as a warning to other streaming services trying to break into live sports. The technology has to be flawless, the user experience needs to be seamless, or you risk pissing off your audience and damaging your reputation. Live sports streaming is a different beast entirely, and Netflix learned that the hard way.
So what's the future hold for Netflix in the world of live sports? Are they going to throw in the towel after this disaster, or are they going to double down and try to fix their shit?
It's too early to say, but I suspect they'll reevaluate their strategy, invest heavily in their technology, and find ways to improve their live streaming capabilities. The potential rewards of live sports streaming are too great to ignore. They just need to prove they can deliver a reliable, high-quality experience for their subscribers.
They need to show they're not just a bunch of amateurs playing in the big leagues. They need to step up their game or get the fuck out of the way.
So we're back, and I'm still trying to, scrub my brain clean of that whole Tyson Paul shit show. It's like a bad case of herpes. You think it's gone, and then bam, it comes back to haunt you.
Maybe we can at least squeeze some kind of wisdom out of this whole debacle.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, it was a train wreck. But
Yeah.
even train wrecks can teach us something, right? About ourselves, about our culture, about what the hell we consider entertainment these days.
Okay, so hit me with some wisdom. What the fuck does this Tyson Paul fiasco say about us? The people who actually tuned in to watch this dumpster fire burn? Are we just a bunch of brain-dead zombies with nothing better to do?
I wouldn't go that far, but it definitely speaks to our obsession with celebrity, with spectacle, our willingness to just, turn off our brains and buy into anything for a little entertainment.
So we're basically suckers for a good story.
Yeah.
Even if it's a complete bullshit story.
We crave narratives, right? Heroes and villains, conflict and resolution. And when there's no real athletic rivalry, I guess we're happy to just swallow the manufactured drama of these celebrity matchups. We just want to be entertained, even if it means sacrificing any substance or integrity along the way.
It's like we're living in some fucked up reality show where the lines between truth and fiction are so blurred you can't even tell the difference anymore.
There's a certain irony there, don't you think? Seeing a sport with such a rich history and tradition being hijacked by the very forces that are basically shrinking our attention spans and our ability to think critically. Boxing, at its core, it's about discipline, skill, strategy, heart. But in this new landscape, it feels like those values are getting tossed aside for hype, spectacle, and viral moments.
But hey, at least we got some hilarious memes out of it, right? That's got to count for something.
It is interesting how the internet can just rip these events apart and turn them into something else. It's like a collective coping mechanism, I guess. A way to deal with the absurdity and find some humor in the wreckage.
All right, so final question. What's the takeaway for the average Joe who just wants to enjoy a good fight? You know, without feeling like they just got completely ripped off and taken for a ride.
Be discerning. Support the athletes who are genuinely dedicated to their craft. Don't just blindly buy into the hype machine. Do your research. Demand quality. And remember that true athleticism and sportsmanship will always have value, even in a world obsessed with spectacle and celebrity.
Well said. All right, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the Tyson Paul shit show. We laughed, we cringed, we questioned the very fabric of reality. I'm going to go pour myself a stiff drink and try to forget this whole thing ever happened.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay woke, stay critical, and for the love of God, support real boxing.
Peace out.